to the Thought Garden on the Air, where entrepreneurs who have a story to tell come to bring out their inner author. I'm your host, Alexis Quintal, the CEO and owner of Rosarium PR and Marketing Collective. And today we're excited to talk with Sid McNairy, the Architect of Peace founder. Sid empowers individuals to live in peace through frequency transformation, removing fear, negative patterns, and using proven processes to reactivate a peace-driven life. Engaging in all senses, his company guides you through the globally known process called the practice. And Sid is already a 10 times author, so I'll put a link to his most recent book that we'll be discussing today, The Secret Weapon, Win at Everything, in the podcast description. We're excited to learn all about your journey. So welcome, Sid. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you and excited to have this conversation.
Yeah. So why don't we start off with just like a little bit about yourself, like where are you from and where did you go to college?
Well, right now I live in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My dad moved us all over California, back to Baton Rouge, Washington, D.C. And then eventually I went to college at Purdue and worked on movement and sports science. So that kind of gave me a background in sports and how to help people really win in their body and the physical world. Because I was an athlete. I've been an athlete all my life. And then I went on to coach college football for 12 years and eventually left to teach yoga and travel the world and teaching people how to meditate and take care of their bodies and developing the practice, the practice, which consists of more than just the physical part that you do with your life, but also looking inward into your mental aspects and evaluating your spiritual connection to something bigger than yourself and getting to that place of living at 100% peace.
Wow, I love that. I mean, sure, that's what we all strive for, and I'm sure it's one of those things that's like easier said than done. It takes a lot of work. But yeah, I want to hear more about your journey from being like a football coach to now a published author. Do those things like relate to each other? Have you kind of told that story in any of your books?
Well, the next book, not The Secret Weapon, but the next book is a compilation of my whole journey from age. I started writing when I was 22, that book. And so it took me 30 years to write the autobiography of a human. And
Mhm.
what started was I was already ambitious, right? Like I knew at the age of 22 that someday I wanted to be a head football coach. I knew that people had written their autobiographies, and that was a way for people to really know how you wanted to share your philosophies as a football coach. So that started my writing, was just the idea of becoming a head football coach. And so that began there. But little did I know at 22 years old, my autobiography would have been really short. And so, the next 30 years where I went on that journey, I was in the process of writing. And so the secret weapon came when I hit really major moments in my life. And so one of them in 2016, I lost the use of all my muscles in my body, and
Wow.
that began that. And then the next major moment was in that process. We sold everything, my wife and I, and hit the road so that we could find where to live that would feel good energetically in my body. And so we traveled
Mm.
for 32,000 miles and went all over the country and went to four different countries on top of that. And then the pandemic happened and all the different things that led us through that. And so that was a major turning point. That was kind of like the spark that said, okay, now you really evaluate where you are and see where you want to go with the rest of your life.
Right. Wow. And so how did you get the courage to like go in this new direction?
Well, for me, fortunately, my life has been that way. I go down a road, and if it's once I get to what in my eyes are kind of a crossroad, like where am I going to go? I've been okay making major shifts in that way. And so when I
Mm.
got to
You
the
kind of
end
got
of
used to
football,
it.
yeah, exactly. When I got to the end of football and I was teaching yoga to the football team, and it was like, okay, where am I going? And I went to teaching yoga. And then when I got to the end of teaching yoga and was like, all right, there's more to it than me owning yoga studios and traveling as a yogi. And fortunately, my wife Liz was up for the challenge of, okay, let's go figure out what's next. So it really,
Mm.
I just got to a point where it was like, okay, this is where I am. And if I want to go and be more for the world, I've got to take the lid off, so to say, and let that open up for myself.
Wow. Well, that's incredible of you to, I mean, probably all the strength that you've built up, just from all these experiences. But coming back to like the present time and today, like what drives you the most in your life now? Like, what's your favorite part of every day right now?
Well, I'd say what drives me the most in life today is I love impacting people, everybody. I mean, I know that, my background of being a coach and helping people achieve what a lot of people don't. I mean, I helped 23 guys get to
Mm.
the NFL. So
Oh,
that was a
wow.
big stretch for people, and then to go beyond that, it was like, okay, I've helped people achieve that level of greatness. Now, how do I help the world achieve that? And
Mm.
so wherever I'm called, like my wife asked me to come do a kids camp at Sports and Stillness. And so we sold it out in like 2 weeks, and parents sent
Wow.
their kids, and it's just great. I mean, we've had major moments with young people, like 8 to 14 that are have meltdowns and all types of stuff, and it's like, okay, now here's how
That's
you
like the
work with that.
hardest part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
And what about you when you were younger? Did you have a role model or mentor that made an impact on you?
Well, I fortunately I did. I had a lot of great coaches. Um,
Mm.
at 7 years old, I was taken to a select team and had a great coach. And then at 8 years old, I had another coach that taught us meditation, and that coach was with me. I played for him until I was like 25,
Okay.
and he took us over to England and things like that. And my high school football coach was amazing. I had a lot, like I said, I had a lot of great coaches, and then I also had great parents and many teachers that were just there. I mean, I think we definitely attract what we need in life. Maybe not
Yeah.
be what we want, but we attract what we need to get us to the next step. And so I was constantly attracting people that taught me to meditate, taught me to look into myself and to
Wow.
believe in myself. So that was huge.
Mhm.
And it was everybody. It wasn't just one single person. It was a lot of people.
Mm. Are you seeing the opposite too, where people that kind of need like your insight and expertise are attracted to you as well?
Oh yeah, I actually have come to the realization, a lot of people say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, I feel that
Yeah.
when the teacher is ready, students can appear. So
Mm.
now that I've hit this place in my life where I have that level of peace, I'm confident in what I say. I know it because not because I read it in a book, but because I lived it. So it's okay for someone to come because they're going to get the truth of what I've been through that can help them as well.
Mhm. I love that. I love that. Even when the teacher is ready, because there's definitely moments where people just aren't even ready to be a mentor yet. Like they need to finish their healing process to truly be able to make an impact. So there really is kind of a phase where you're ready for that.
Right.
That's
Definitely. I
amazing.
mean, when I'm training people, we train people in the practice to be able to help other people. And one of the first things that
Okay.
we work on is making sure that they heal their own hurt. Or you're just carrying that vibration of hurt and giving it to someone else.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, let's start there. Like get you out of the hurt so that
Yeah.
when you interact with somebody, whether you say something or not, you become a frequency transformation that allows somebody else to lift up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's so true. You really do carry it around. It's like in your nervous system. Like that's been proven. I'm surprised more people don't realize that and they just sweep it under the rug and think they're going to be fine, and then doesn't end well. So so tell us more about your practice. When did you start your business?
Well, I mean, the practice has been developing for me since I was 8. right? So when I started meditating at 8 years old,
Mm-hmm.
30 years later was when I taught my first meditation class. And
Mm,
yet I've always worked on my body as an athlete, stretching and running and fine tuning it. So that's part of the practice. We make sure that we go through, we call it create. So we help everyone get centered. That's the meditation piece, get centered in yourself.
okay.
Research. I think it's important that everyone is always looking for what you don't know. So
Mm,
because we know what we know. We even know what we don't know because we know how to figure it out. But getting to that thing of what I don't know is actually way out there in some far away place, right? At least mentally. And so getting into
mm,
that level of research, we talk about elevate. So we help people create mantras that they can begin to shift in their own subconscious by repetitively going through something that helps them elevate.
okay.
Awakening. So once we know something, awaken to it and actually add it into our life. So let's say I
Mm,
don't know what it's like to swim, but now I know because I've taken swim lessons. Well, then now that you've awakened, you've got to put it into your life and let it become part of your part of you on a cellular level. And then training, we
mm,
always, you know, being an athlete for so long, training is second nature for me, and having
right.
the discipline to not only go out and exercise, but also training in the sense of what am I training myself to be like with nutrition and everything else. And then the last thing is experience. How are you living life over and over and over again, repetitively,
Mm,
so that you become what you want to become?
hmm. Right, exactly. It's almost like forming a habit, like it's something you have to do over and over again to really just become part of your life. And at
Exactly.
that point, it's not even a habit anymore. It's just part of who you are.
Well,
But that can also happen with negative or like,
yeah,
bad coping skills and becoming unhealthy and eating fast food. And, people kind of get caught in that cycle. It can go either way.
right. And I think it's, people ask me, yesterday I was on an interview and they asked, what is your number one thing for someone to go live in this life? And it's discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
even the person that may go eat junk food every day, that's a discipline. It takes discipline to do that every day. And most people don't realize the disciplines they've made. So for me, I am a disciple. I am very disciplined of peace. That
Okay.
I'm a disciple of peace.
Mm.
I'm gonna
Ooh,
I
I like that.
return to it no matter what. That I think is so important for people to start to gather. And you know, you can look in on the level of business, people that are struggling in their business. There's a discipline. There's something they're repeating over and over and over again. And if they see it and they disrupt it, then they'll stop repeating those failing parts of their business. So
Mm.
that's what we take a look at. What are the patterns that we can now, and that's why I use create as that acronym, because you want to
Okay.
create your life as opposed to getting run by the things that are coming at you.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. And so is this gonna be in it's a trilogy, right? That you're working on now?
Well, the trilogy, well, it's one, it's a long, the autobiography is a long book. And the trilogy is a separate part. So that's the
Okay.
crossroads, which is a journey of a whole lineage of people. And that's 11 books, but we don't have to get into that because I don't
Well,
want to confuse people.
okay, okay. So let's start with the book you wanted to talk about today, which is The Secret Weapon, Win at Everything. So what is that about? Like what's the genre and what do you want people to learn from it?
Well, it's a nonfiction, and it's there for someone to really begin to look into themselves, and they become the secret weapon. They become the person
Mm,
that they can turn to and say, okay, I have now become what I know I need in my life to hold that space of peace. And so, one thing
wow.
that's mentioned in the book, and the book is a system that allows you to start to really look at, okay, how are you operating? What's your relationship to something bigger than yourself? And when you start to understand that relationship, you start to
Mhm.
understand why your life is showing up, because the relationship to the thing that's bigger than all of us, I like to call it God. Some people call it whatever they call it. But the relationship to God is going to bring forward how life is. And so, one of the main things is, before you even get out of the introduction, is all of life is determined by your connection. So that's something we want people to start to get. All of life
Yeah.
is determined by your connection, meaning that if I am an angry person, life is going to meet me on that level. If I'm a loving
Mhm.
person, life meets me on that level. If I'm at peace, life meets me on that level. And so we always want to
Right.
begin to look in and say, okay, what in my life is there because this is why this is here? All of life is determined by your connection.
Okay. And you said that's just the intro of the book?
That's the intro. That's
So what's
I
chapter
like
one?
to,
Like,
when
how
I
do you
write a
get deeper
book,
than that?
I love to make sure that in the intro, if someone were to stop there, they at least got one major thing. That was something I learned in coaching. In speaking, you make sure that no matter what,
Mm.
people get something. And so, I mean,
Oh.
think about how many books you may have read. And if someone asked you to quote the book, you'd be like, I don't know. So I want to make sure that people get that, that as they go through the next things about the programs, like the programs running in your mind, how to recognize them, how to move through them, and to
Mhm.
recognize the
Okay.
echoes of that program. Because we have a program, something happens early in life and it starts us on this path of worry of separation from love, but you can never separate from that. So getting
Mm.
people the secret weapon, which is us, helps someone dial into themselves so that they can then be the life they want to see in the world, how to live the dream. So that's part of it, getting into the
Wow.
programs running in your mind, recognizing them, get into the echo of the program, and then now what are the tools? So we give a lot of tools for people to see as they're going through the book. Now,
Yeah.
what is a tool for someone to actually start to shift this on their own life? And so one of them is, we call it stop, listen, and feel. So
Okay.
when someone is in a hole, the law of holes says this: if you're in a hole, the one way to get out is to stop digging. So you stop. Like,
Mm.
I don't care what the hole is. You've got an argument going on with somebody, you're financially in a problem or whatever it is. Well, stop digging that hole. That's the
Mhm.
first thing. Now that someone has become aware and has stopped, then it's to start to see, where is it going in my mind? So stop, listen, start listening to what are the subconscious thoughts that are taking place. That's why meditation and the practice are so important, because in meditation, you're just observing yourself. So now stop, listen, and then once you know what's going on, feel your way forward and make choices that lead you to where you want to go. For me, the true
Okay.
north for me is peace. So it's easy
Mm.
for me to say, okay, this choice that I'm about to make, is it going to bring peace to my life going forward? Stop, listen to what the next thing is going to be, feel my
Mhm.
way into it. So those three things I think are really big for people to get. All of life is determined by your connection. Start recognizing that you are running a program in your mind, no different than our phones and all those things. Shift the
Yeah.
program, shift the operating system, and we, the phone, shifts. And then finally
True.
stop, listen, and feel.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's
Thank
just
you for
about
sharing
a little crack into the book. So
it.
much more. So I'm excited for people
Wow.
to pick it up. Yeah.
No, that sounds incredible. What was the most challenging part about writing this book, if anything?
Well, this one, the most challenging thing I would say was the journey leading up to it. Because
Mhm.
actually what took place was we were already on the road. We had done the 32,000 miles and we were in the Dominican Republic, my wife and I, and we heard that the border was closing, to get back in
Mm.
during the pandemic. So we got back on the plane, we came home, and we didn't think anything of it really. It was like, okay,
Mhm.
people are sick and we'll move around. So the first 6 months we moved around, going from place to place, finding tiny homes to live in, all types of stuff.
Wow.
And then, we were like, okay, this thing doesn't seem like it's going to stop. And this was
Yeah.
2020. And so then we went to Atlanta, uh, and a friend said we could use her house for 30 days. And I said, all I need is to stay there for 30 days. I can write this book. So I have a process that I go through in order to write.
Okay.
And when I got in that process, I wrote the whole book, 11 chapters in 3 days, and
Whoa.
published it in 22 days. So it was, it was
That's
coming through
amazing.
me, which I've had before. And, people
Mm,
that write know what that feels like. I mean, I think the more I write, the more the words just flow through. It's not, I don't have to try to write. So at this point, and that's my sixth book later by myself, it was just like, all right, I know what writing's like, and it flowed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Well, so one thing we like to talk about too is how, like, becoming an author can help elevate your personal brand and your credibility. Did you notice a shift at all in like your business or some of the relationships you were attracting from, becoming an author?
Well, I mean, definitely when your book, there's a lot of places you can't go speak without being an author, a published author. So
Hmm.
there's that. So instantly
Hmm.
that opens doors that may not be there for somebody. Then
Right.
after doing that, now it's a calling card. Someone can pick up your book as if it's a resume, just like I talked about
Hmm.
with writing an autobiography as a coach. You know that someone's going to get to know you and your thoughts, and that, especially if you're someone like myself that speaks and I've been trained to do all those things, it becomes, people pick up the phone and say, hey, we'd love for you to come speak and inspire our business, help our team,
Yeah.
can you work
Yeah.
with our child, all those different things show up. So
Wow.
I think once someone gets to that point of writing a book, then
Hmm.
they actually have learned a lot about themselves. And so, yes, it can definitely help in so many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. It sounds like it got you into some different rooms that, you maybe wouldn't have been invited in if you weren't a
Right.
published author. And that alone is a huge opportunity. Has it helped you attract any new business opportunities
Yeah, for
other
sure.
than
I
speaking?
mean, people, one of the big ones that happened towards the end of the pandemic was BAE Systems, which is the largest defense contractor in the world. They
Yeah.
called me to help them find the secret weapon to get their people back when they knew they were going to have to
Um,
tell them they have to take a vaccine. They didn't want to, they wanted to
mm,
know, how can we bring everybody back peacefully? So then they brought me in to speak to their human resource department and all those things. So
okay.
definitely opened doors because people
Wow.
knew what I was doing.
Wow. That's amazing. So, do you want to share any of the other books you've written, or I guess where your listeners can find more about you and,
Well, I mean, they can find all the
maybe,
books,
well,
right? Like, all the
yeah.
books, they can go to Amazon, all of my books, and look up Sid McNairy, my author page, and kind of dive through that rabbit hole. And
Okay.
also going over to sidmcnairy.com is a great place to
Okay.
be. And when they go to sidmcnairy.com, there's a place that says I like Sid, and they can find out about all the future books to come, and just stay in touch because we're doing
Hmm.
a lot of big things. We've got award ceremonies coming on online and
Okay.
different things like that help
Cool.
people continue to build this thing called peace that the world really needs. So, and they can
Seriously.
find me on
Yeah.
all social medias as Sid McNairy as well.
Okay. What's your next speaking opportunity? Speaking gig?
The next speaking gig is ah man, where am I going? Oh well, we've got a huge one. I can't believe that didn't come across my mind.
Right.
Uh, I'll be speaking in the Vatican in 2025. So that one's on
Wow.
my radar pretty strong just because yeah, it's the Vatican. Everybody,
That's
you say the
amazing.
Vatican, everybody knows where it
That's
is,
all.
what it
I don't
is.
even just I don't need to know
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
No, that's
Exactly.
amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a great event. It's about sustainability and peace and
Mm.
people out there that want to get involved, please contact me. I'll put you in touch with the people that are putting it on. I mean, which is the Vatican, but they've got their own team of people. And so, yeah, that's going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Yeah. Thanks for sharing all of this. And thank you for joining us. We wish you the best on your exciting journey. So, with that, it's time to turn the page on another episode of Thought Garden on the Air. We'll plug all this information in the show notes, as well as any links that were mentioned. If you have any questions about becoming an author or marketing your book, or if you're interested in coming on the show and sharing your story, you can connect with me at rosarium.work. We're on all social platforms and the web, and we'd love to hear from you. So thank you for listening today. We look forward to seeing you on our next segment, the Authors on the Air radio show. Have a great day, everyone.
Peace.